The unemployment rate in America has hit new highs, and some economists believe small businesses are being hit the hardest. Many small businesses are struggling to obtain credit and simply dependent on volatile markets, and the new push for health care reform is only causing concerns. Joining me now is Lynn Tilton. She's the president and CEO of Patriarch Partners. Lynn buys and sells small businesses. And Dave MacArthur is with us from St. Louis. He's the VP of Operations at MacArthur's Bakery. Lynn, I'm going to start with you. We were chatting in the break. Tough time to be a small business. Why is that?
You've been battered by the perfect storm. Declining revenues because consumer spending is down, increased expenses because the dollar's weak and commodities are all in, priced in dollars. Rising healthcare costs now.
Touch it. Go ahead.
I mean, really.
How much? How much is that going to? You buy and sell businesses. Is that going to affect your decision to keep a business in business or to take them out of business?
Well, look, in the end, cash is fungible. If you have rising costs, you got to take costs out one way or another. And the easiest way is to cut expenses, and that's usually jobs. We don't know what this new plan is going to cost us. We know that we have increased percentage of premiums, and we know that we've got new taxes. So unless the cost of this health care plan is significantly lower, this is bad for small and mid-sized businesses.
How about you, MacArthur? Are you going to cut people? Are you going to freeze bonuses? What are you going to do?
Well, the bonuses were froze a long time ago. In our particular case, we haven't given a raise for 3 years. The money simply hasn't been here. I listened before the break. You're talking about the government spends $300,000 to create one job. Give me $300,000. I'll hire 3 people and pay 30% of my debt. Do that to me for 3 years. I'm debt free, and I'll be a chain in 5 years. The government doesn't have a clue.
But go ahead. So your costs are going to go up. You have to provide health care. How are you going to make ends meet? Are you going to charge your customers more?
Well, that's what the government thinks you can do. You just pass the cost along. But do a survey. Do it around the room there and ask your people running cameras. Do you have any more money to spend? The consumer has no more money. Washington, listen, they have no more money. We can't raise prices. When we do raise prices, we take our customer. We're a high-quality provider. And that customer that's going to spend $19 for our quarter sheet birthday cake is now going to Walmart and gets one not quite as good for $15. Why? Because they don't have the money.
So what's the answer? I'm going to bring it over to Lynn here, Dave. What's the answer here? Your costs are going up. You can't charge a customer more. They don't have money. Are we just going to drive small business out of business?
We've already been driving small businesses out of business. I mean, there's been no access to capital. We've talked about that a ton of times, where there's been no lending to small and mid-sized businesses. We've all gotten hit by declining revenues. I mean, even when you're looking at earnings on the Dow, you're not seeing revenues increase. And now you're going to get hit with increased health care costs. And small businesses, which 75% are flow-throughs, are going to get hit with this 5.4% increase in taxes if they have more than $500,000. That's going to affect more than 1/3 of all small businesses in this country. I think that what's going to happen is, if you can't afford to pay it, you're going to lay off people. When you can't lay off any more people, you're going to liquidate. That's why there's such a huge differential between the establishment survey and the household survey, because you're missing the small businesses.
Dave, what about it? Is it at some point it's going to be cheaper for you just to take the penalty than to provide insurance for all your employees? Or do you already provide insurance for everybody?
We provide insurance for all of our full-time employees. What scares me is what the government's going to deem a full-time employee and a part-time employee. There's so much unknown there, we don't know where it's going to go. Right now, our health care policies for our employees, and we've got a pretty good one, Blue Cross Blue Shield, dental. We've got a medical savings plan that'll be wiped out, 25% increase for our employees right off the top on all their medicines and so forth. But if you take 4.5%, they're going to double it. It's going to cost me 8%. Where's that money come from? Margins in our business, people strive to maintain at the end of the year 1.5% to 2%. Now you're going to 4% on health care right there. What's that tell you? I'm in the red. Immediately I'm in the red.
Lenny, let me, I'm just touching on this right now. It's actually coming to, I couldn't figure out why Walmart was in favor of this health care reform bill. Remember they came out and they said the SAA.
Right.
Maybe by this bill that actually says if you have a part-time employee, you have to provide him or her health care. Maybe this is going to drive the small business out of business and drive everyone to the Walmarts and the Kmarts of the world.
Well, I mean, it is going to continue to drive small businesses, but Walmart's got more money to deal with, right? I mean, they're already using a much larger revenue stream. They have access to capital. Larger companies can deal with this much better. Plus, that 5.4% tax that's going to flow through entities, that's going to continue to impair them. It's really one more shot at a small business that's barely surviving right now. And it's always been the engine of job creation. I mean, getting out of this recession is going to take small businesses. We don't have that anymore.
What about it, Dave? Lenny makes a great point. You're getting both sides. You have to provide more health care. And then if you happen to have flow-through profits of $500,000 or more, a lot of small businesses do, you're going to get that 5.4% tax. You're getting it both ways.
Well, you know, it's government in total. You know, we deal with the same thing. We sit here and we talk about Washington, but we have the same issues with our state government and with our local governments. You know, every time that their revenues drop, our taxes seem to be increasing because they're coming at you from a different way. Government thinks there's a pool of money at small business that you just pass the cost on to the consumer. The consumer, once again, doesn't have it. We don't know where we're going to go. I mean, we've been in business 53 years, and we're struggling, and I can give you 10 other people on the phone with me 20 minutes after I'm off air that are saying the same thing.
All right, I have to leave it there. Dave MacArthur, MacArthur's Bakery in St. Louis, Missouri. Lynn Tilton, Patriot Partners President and CEO. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
All right, the latest on the tragedy.